Welcome back, everybody. I'm Bruce Reilly, Deputy Director here at Voters Organized to Educate, and we have another wonderful guest today. We have Miss Andrea Manuel, and she is running for State Representative in District 85, which is formerly held by Joe Marino, an independent who we worked with quite well for the past 4 years. He chaired the Criminal Justice Committee, and so a lot of things went through him, and he had to kind of be the battering ram, or I guess the anvil for a lot of battering in that committee. So we wish Joe all the best, and we're very excited and interested in this race. So Andrea, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe why you jumped into this?
Well, I am a lifelong resident of Louisiana. I've been educated in Jefferson Parish school system. I graduated from Riverdale High School. I am a graduate of Xavier University. My family consists of myself, my husband of 19 years, and I'm a mother of 4. I have 4 grandkids, and I am a teacher. I've been an educator for the past 16 years, and I've been a Spanish teacher most of that time. And what brought me to education was my experience as a missionary in Venezuela, and Spanish is my second language. And so as an educator, I am not pleased which way the education in Louisiana is going. And there's no better time than now for me to step up and be the voice for my community, and also habla español con toda la gente. So I want to speak to all the people.
Perfecto.
And this is my time.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. And, coming from an education background, everybody's got a soft spot for a teacher. So, you got that going for you right now. So we're actually going to start with a question about education. As you know, in Louisiana, our education system is constantly ranked at or near the bottom of America, like a lot of things. And what do you think are the causes of this, and how do we address those causes?
Well, the first thing I think, we need to start younger. Recently, in June of 2023, I was appointed by our Councilman Marion Edwards in District 1 to be on the High School Advisory Committee. And so, as a representative of the community, we need to start from the crib. Actually, this program is amazing because it starts with the mothers when they first become pregnant, and they go all the way until the children are 5 years old and are ready for education. And so, if we are able to educate our children at a young age, and they are prepared to begin school, and we continue to educate them, and they find the love for learning, the love for life, and the love for others' lives, I believe we'll have a reduction in crime and a lot of other, in Louisiana flight. People are going to stay here and raise their families. So I believe education is where we need to begin our changes.
Yeah, I'll just, a lot of us who live in New Orleans, we're more familiar with the school situation here on this side of the river. And, you've been a teacher in the Jefferson Parish Public Schools. Have you, I'm sure you're very familiar with the New Orleans situation. What's your take on this sort of full charter experiment that we've had, along with the sort of Teach for America experiment that a lot of cities have seen?
Well, I applaud the leaders who are seeking better ways of educating our children. I had to make a decision recently on whether I wanted to stay in Jefferson Parish public school system or if I wanted to be in a charter system. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. One thing that weighed heavily on me deciding to be with the school system was the accountability of the entire system. Charters have their advantages. Charters has restrictions, and charters have a lot of freedom to dispel anyone at any time for no reason. I mean, I don't know the entire makeup of it, but I feel that if we work together, we can find a common ground to make the children is most important. The systems is a reflection of the adults' decision, but it needs to be some type of unity to put us above and beyond what our children need to succeed in this life.
Yeah, I mean, I for one would love to see continuity with the schools a bit, which maybe perhaps you probably can only get with a school board. And my daughter is lucky enough to go to a school, I think, where they've got a lot of long-standing teachers, and they have a really high standard for those teachers as well. So, and I just think like if every school had that, we'd probably be a lot better off. But we're gonna move on. I think we could probably talk about education all day, and that's really something that I personally admire. I'm sure a lot of other people do as well. But let's switch gears into the insurance industry and that issue. That right now, people would be crazy to buy a home in southern Louisiana with no guarantees that they can insure their house. So companies are either pulling out or jacking their rates. Have you been considering the causes of the insurance crisis and how we might better fortify our homes?
Well, there are a multitude of factors that's making this crisis continue to balloon. We all know that the climate change is affecting the right now we're dealing with the saltwater issue.
A whole new one.
Yes. We also know that we're losing our marshlands in record numbers in football fields. We need those protection areas. We do not have levee protection everywhere. We have factors that we can work on, but then there's natural things that are going to be there. So I believe there's a multitude of factors. And more importantly, we need to find solutions. And I had mentioned in an interview recently that because the industry is not just here in Louisiana, but around the nation, but we're gonna just talk about Louisiana, because these companies have left and are not protecting us. We really should reach out to Congress to help modify. We need help, and so I think if we come together and speak with our government. As a Louisiana, and the crisis that we're in, that we can draw these people here. If they're leaving, there are penalties. There have to be more continuity and more accountability because we are here. We are not leaving, and we need them, and they need us. And so I think in some type of collaboration, we can have success. It's going to take a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I pay taxes to the federal government. I'm sure a lot of people do, if not everybody, and some say pay me now or pay me later. I mean, FEMA's going to come in after a disaster and fix things sometimes. And may take forever, right? Or an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and Louisiana is a canary in the coal mine for climate change.
Absolutely.
So hopefully we can get more people to pay attention and work together, like you're saying, and try to come up with some things. So speaking of working together or not, let's shift to policing. And in 2016, not that long ago, a report came out about Gretna, which is the heart of District 85, revealing that a town of just 18,000 had made 6,000 arrests. The city was generating 16% of its budget through fines, fees, and forfeitures. And while black people were only a third of the residents, they made up 2/3 of the people arrested. Do you feel Gretna has maintained that type of policing, or has it changed?
Well, we need to take another survey and find out what the numbers are today. Recently, I did have a tour, and I met with the chief of police, and he introduced me to individuals who he had put on the force in order to help with a diversity team that he's coordinated. Where those numbers are today, it has not been revealed. But I think it's really, really important that we look into that. We do not want that type of reputation because if anyone is really following the numbers, the demographics is changing rapidly to increasingly more brown and black people. And so we need to be treated equally and with respect. And so that's an important thing that I would do as soon as I get in office. We really need to know how is the policing being done in 2023 since 2016?
Yeah, and that kind of carries into my second question, or the next question that we have here, which is about accountability. And during the last legislative term, Louisiana experienced two of the greatest police brutality cases in recent history, the killings of Alton Sterling and Ronald Green. If you were in the legislature, what steps would you take to address those abuses?
Ooh.
Look,
that is deep.
It's a tough question, but it's a tough job.
That is deep. That is important. That is so important. We have to go straight to the sources. If I was in legislature, when I get in legislature, we have got to do what's right to serve the people and not destroy the people's lives. It wouldn't be tolerated. It would be addressed, and it would be whatever the consequences are and reprimanded, it needs to be done, starting from the top all the way to the bottom. So it would not be ignored. It would be addressed.
Appreciate that answer. So our state legislature has typically been a place for people where there's always there's been a white majority, as folks know. There's not to equate party with race, but oftentimes it's white Republicans and oftentimes Black Democrats. As you were saying earlier about representing all people, what can you just tell us a little bit about diversity of the district, but also just diversity of the legislature and what that can mean for the state of Louisiana?
Well, the demographics of Gretna, according to recent polls, it's 37% Caucasians, 37% African American, and there's 3% Asian, and then there's 9% other. I mean, it's increasingly changing to the majority of African American, Black and brown people. So as it changes, so should the representation change. It's not a coincidence that I am seeking this office at this time. It's important for our children, whether they're in school and for the community, to see someone that looks like them. Now, my job is to represent all people. Now, in legislature, it is one-sided. That it's not a coincidence that I am seeking this seat. Now, there are even less than 10% women in the legislature, even elected officials in Louisiana. So it's important that we continue to seek, train, teach other people who live in the community that they represent to be in office. I am excited about the program here. To have people who have been previously incarcerated to run for public office. That is amazing. That is wonderful. And so I 100% support that. And if with us, Louisiana having the most incarceration, not just in the states, in the world, we need a representation. We need people who can identify with the daily, everyday chore things that go on, to be a voice in making this a better place.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like any dad who's got a daughter knows that she's not going to look up to him. So the strong women in my life, are a blessing, and it's for me. And so when there are female elected officials who are doing the right thing, it's something I, as a dad, can point to and say, look at this woman right here. She's representing for the peeps.
Amen.
So. Okay, well, let's, speaking of incarceration, look at you, like the transition queen over here. We're going to talk a little about the drug war. This is the 50th year of America's war on drugs. And enforcing prohibition has effectively destroyed communities by criminalizing addiction, incarcerating parents, and creating a market for illegal drug sales, where low-level dealers can get life in prison, while corporate-level dealers pay a fine and move on. When you hear the words fentanyl overdose, do you want to react with military force or respond with the healthcare system, and why?
Well, I was a child welfare specialist for the state of Louisiana in a city called Bogalusa. And we had to prepare for homes that we would go into where drugs was very big, rampant there. And so fentanyl was an issue. The drugs are not the people. Drugs go into people. I mean, it's a process, but people are people, and they deserve a chance. My job was to get the child safe and get the parent rehabilitated in order to take their child back. Your question was not that. Your question was, what do I do? How do we respond to fentanyl? With care or combat?
Right, and just fentanyl in a lot of ways being just the next iteration, right, of the troubling problem of not just the drugs hurting our people, but also the sort of the PR marketing of the drug war.
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, the most important thing to me that I have dealt with as an adult is both of my degrees are in mental health. All of the dependency, the incarceration, the family, the problems with the drugs, everything starts in the mind. It has to be nurtured. The programs that's been stopped, that's been canceled, it's crippling our communities. So it needs to be done with care, with mental health services. We see a problem and then want to automatically put someone in chains and say you better get better and then let them out. And then no, we need to help heal. HH would be my slogan, help heal.
Or her honor.
Yes. Yeah. So the problem is bigger than the drug. It is the person.
You're exactly
and
right.
that is my passion, people.
Well, a little snippet for the folks at home, but also for yourself, anticipating going up there. There's more bills in the Criminal Justice Committee than any other committee. Because the old, to a carpenter, everything's a nail.
That's right.
And, there's certain bills that should be addressed, but addressed through health and welfare, addressed with, the type of thing you're just talking about, like mental health care and addiction specialists and such. So we're trying to steer it that way, and we really appreciate anybody who can help with that steering.
That's me.
We need some more pilots and more rowers. We need people on the sails, all the things.
That's right.
Cool. Well, let's see. So another criminalization issue is we know that Attorney General Jeff Landry has sought the medical records of people who may have traveled out of state to seek an abortion. And we know this is a really huge issue since the overturning of Roe v. Wade and how we as a state that is not going to allow abortion, how we even handle that part of it. So what will be your focus on the issue of criminalizing women's reproductive health? And how would you, as you mentioned, there's not very many women up there. How would you handle that sort of task, that position?
Well, this is another. I always go back to numbers. There's 144 legislators, and less than 40 of them are females. So the 80% of the decisions are being made by 80% of people who it does not directly affect. It affects the man because we can't have our babies without them.
Yeah, if I could have my own baby, I might have 20 of them.
Yes. So the way that I would address it, the very first thing we need to do, we need to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with the partner. I am not going to say the man because this is a partnership. And to blame one person and to criminalize one person out of a two-person act, that's a crime there. That is where the crime is, to put one person's life at risk or to minimize the importance of one person's life is a crime. If there was a way to say, if the mother who is, I'm going all off on the roll, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
This is
an issue that a lot of people are concerned about.
This is really important to me. The mother's life. I've been a mother 5 times. I lost one. I am a mother, and I will always be a mother. I am a mother, but one of my babies did not survive. It was not even a full baby. But we went back for the second visit, and there was no heartbeat. So I had to keep that tissue inside of me until it either came out and if it didn't, then I could get an infection my life would end because I couldn't get the medical care that I needed if that law was at hand at the time of this instance. That is wrong.
Yeah.
That is wrong. And so for a man, any man, woman or child, to make a decision on how to better my life is a crime. Not only are we having to address the abortion, we should address the many mothers, especially minority mothers, who are dying after and during childbirth.
Yeah, we have one of the highest mortality rates.
We have the highest. And so, contrary to belief, Black women are having all these abortions. No, we're having our babies. We're dying. We're dying doing it. And so, if we really want to address something, let's address how we're going to help life be sustained in the mother and the child. And then let's go from there.
Yeah, one thing that we try to point out as well is, there's some people that say they care about the children, and maybe in fact they do, but for some reason some people, their care stops as soon as that baby's born.
That's
right. And then their hate begins, or their neglect begins. I was one of those kids.
Wow.
And
I believe that.
I went through foster homes for 5 years. My mom was going to abort me.
Right.
Where were all those people that were fighting for her to have the baby?
So you know what I'm talking. This is bigger than whether a woman an abortion or not. It is. We need to care for people. We need to care. These mothers, I'm not sure everybody's story, but we need to care for those people and not criminalize the people and the people taking care of the person.
Well, that's definitely, for a lot of people I know, is a an up-down kind of issue for them to support. So I can't speak for the people of District 85, but I know a lot of people want to know your position on that. And our last question here, we kind of talked about it a little bit before with the climate change, but we live in an area that's slowly being submerged by rising sea levels, and where our electric grid continues to crumble. What will it take for the Louisiana government, a group you're trying to join here, to figure out sustainable infrastructure? And why don't we all have solar panels on our roofs?
Ooh, well, that is a very complex question. It's a very complex issue. And in order for that issue to be resolved, we must collaborate. We must unify. We must reach for every resource, every expert that there is on the planet to save Louisiana. I believe that there was a project in Denmark. There's projects all over the world where people are really coming together to save their land. And we need to do it in Louisiana. And I am in 100. Whatever it takes to make Louisiana a place that people will stay and not leave. Because as you know, there's Louisiana flight is real.
Yeah.
For whether it's fewer opportunities, the insurance, poor education for their children, just climate, people are leaving.
Yeah.
So we've got to come together.
And we need to get people in Baton Rouge to understand that they don't want beachfront property in Baton Rouge. But that would be what you're leaving behind for your kids if we kind of keep going the same route. So, I think you're right. We need to get many more experts involved, and there's people around the world who are putting in the work.
That's right.
And why does it seem like if we're going to be last, we're going to be everybody's failed experiment?
Wow.
And then people in other parts of the country might learn from wow, look what happened to this favorite city we used to love to visit, for instance, this state that's so wonderful. Well, that's our questions, and so I'm curious to hear from you. There's something we didn't talk about. They'd really love for voters to hear, and or just kind of give us a little wrap up how people might be able to get involved with your campaign.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity to come before your committee,
Our group.
your organization, your group. It is honorable. I respect and love your passion for people that are in our community that belong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most important thing to me. I want the community in Louisiana, Gretna, Terrytown to know that I am the best candidate for this position. Not just because I was born and raised here, it's because I will stand up to make this a better place. Education will be on the forefront. I will not stop until our teachers have a permanent pay raise so that they can stay here and not leave to other states. I will not stop until we find some type of way to get our insurance companies to stay, want to stay, and our people to stay. I will not stop until we get some type of living wages for our people to have an opportunity to stay in the state that I love. And I just want the people to know that I'm here. I'm here to stay, and I love Louisiana, and I love Gretna and Terrytown. And choose me, Andrea Manuel, on October 14th.
Andrea, your passion comes through. Your ballot number is 57. Your website is
electandreamanuel.com.
Okay, and I assume there's a place maybe people can contact you to either sign up or get a sign or maybe even make a donation.
Absolutely, to my website.
And as we know, in a multi-person race, there's always a good chance that it goes to a runoff.
Yes.
And it's probably likely in a case like this where maybe there's not some overwhelming favorite. So we may see you again in a few weeks' time,
Absolutely.
like buckling back down and going at it again. So for folks that are in District 85 or care about the West Bank, contact Andrea, get engaged, get involved, and appreciate you coming through.
Thank you. It was great.